discussing the topic of eating disorders. I have the pleasure of introducing 3 strong girls who will share their story and how they surpassed their eating disorders. 95% of individuals with eating disorders are between the ages of 12 to 25 years old. As you can see on the graph, many men and women experience anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating. Courtney, a 20-year-old girl from the small town of Anderson, Texas, used to be a binge eater at age 15. Courtney used to be bullied in school a lot because she was overweight and this made her self-conscious. Courtney didn't know how to deal with it, which led to her to start binge eating. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us today about such a sensitive topic.
No problem. I just want to help raise awareness so that kids won't have to go through the things that I had to go through.
Okay, could you walk us through your story?
Yeah, no problem. When I was 15, I was overweight, and kids would make fun of me for that. I would come home and cry about it, and the only way to cope with my feelings was by eating, even when I felt full. I would eat my emotions. I never told my parents about it, which was a big mistake because the best way of getting through these types of eating disorders is talking to someone about it.
The warning signs include eating more than usual, eating even when the individual is full, eating alone, and the feeling of guilt after eating. Courtney, what kind of medical issues did you experience?
Well, I kept gaining weight. My blood pressure went through the roof. I now have diabetes and high cholesterol. Honestly, I am so thankful I told my parents.
Thank you so much, Courtney. Now we will talk about Elizabeth. Elizabeth is a 19-year-old girl from Calabasas, California, and she used to be anorexic at the age of 16. Elizabeth was always self-conscious of her body and idealized the perfect bodies that the girls in her school had. Elizabeth was considered average weight for her age, but she saw herself as fat. Elizabeth thought that the only way to lose weight was to stop eating. She would sit in the bathroom during lunch periods and not eat. Elizabeth, come on out. Thank you so much for coming today.
No problem. I'm happy to share my story.
So, how did this start?
When I was around 16, I struggled with my body image. I would find myself comparing myself to other girls that have what I considered a perfect body. Whenever I looked in the mirror, the only thought that was running through my head was how fat I was. I remember during lunch periods throwing my lunch out in the bathroom and waiting for the period to be over to leave so I could avoid people realizing how I didn't eat. Every night I would take my dinner upstairs and throw it away. After a while, that feeling of hunger left, but I found myself very tired and even more depressed.
Those are signs of anorexia: self-starvation, continuous fear of gaining weight, refusal and restrictive eating, persistent dieting, and some other signs include hair loss, sensitivity to the cold, and irregular menstruation. Our last guest for today is Miranda. Miranda is a 21-year-old girl from Boston. She used to be very secluded and didn't go out much, so she started to develop bulimia. She would eat dinner, but her parents would notice that every time after, she'd sneak to the bathroom. Miranda wouldn't admit to her parents that she was bulimic. Please welcome Miranda.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks so much for having me. It's such an honor to speak to such a broad audience.
Thank you so much. Could you share your story for us?
Sure.
I didn't used to go out a lot and didn't have many friends. But one day, these girls started talking to me and added me to their friend group. I wanted to fit in, so I would do everything the same because I didn't want to be judged. So one day, they were telling me that the only way I could not gain weight is if I threw up every time after dinner. I hesitated, but decided that I had to do it or they were going to unfriend me. It was the worst decision of my life. I didn't realize that I almost risked my life just to fit in. My parents figured out, but I didn't want to admit it because I would have had to stop doing it and my friends would have hated me for it.
Individuals with bulimia often vomit after eating, overuse laxatives, or diet pills. They suffer from swollen salivary glands and broken blood vessels. It is important to remember that men also suffer from similar disorders. However, 85 to 95% of bulimics are women. Thank you so much, Miranda.
No problem.
Now let's bring out Elizabeth and Courtney again. Courtney, Elizabeth, Miranda, could you share how you each came over your disorders?
Sure.
I can start. So the first step in my recovery was telling my parents. I am so thankful for all they have helped me with. They sent me to a psychologist where I was able to talk out my feelings, rather than just deciding to eat what I was feeling. She taught me how to love who I am. Now I can say that I am truly a much happier person.
Battling anorexia was not easy for me. I will never view food and my image in the same way as most people, but I have learned to cope with my situation. I met with a nutritionist who gave me healthy eating advice and a strict eating regimen until I got back on track. I finally gained back the weight that I had lost over the course of my eating disorder, and I could not have done it without the support of my family and friends throughout my journey.
I think the first step in my recovery was realizing how I was physically and emotionally hurting myself for bulimia just in order to fit in. Once I came to that realization, my parents guided me to a support group as well as a psychologist to help me through my eating disorder. Hearing other girls my age with similar stories and realizing that they were seeking help to get healthy, again, really helped me. I was able to talk to them and relate to them. Although some days may be harder than others, overall, I am living a much happier and healthy life.
Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing your stories. You've been an inspiration to those fighting the same battles with their own eating disorders. Eating disorders are very serious and can severely harm your health. Do not let your ideas of self-image make you believe that going to the extremes with an eating disorder will get you the results you want, because that is not true. If you are battling with an eating disorder, please seek help, especially from those you are closest to. To those of you who have recovered from an eating disorder, please share your story to others and help them on their road to recovery. You can get help at Cambridge Eating Disorder Center, 3 Bow Street, Cambridge, Mass. 02138, or you can visit online nationaleatingdisorder.org, and you can call the number 1-800-931-2237. Thank you and have a great day.